Hey, bless up. I just want to have a conversation with you about I get some unique perspectives in my comments on my videos. And my videos are about various things. It's just me kind of sharing my life journey. Hopefully, it's a catalog of embodiment of work about my emotions, about my tasks, about my everyday living, about things that I learn, and things that I share to my viewers, and hopefully, mainly to my family, um, and mainly to those that are close to me. Hopefully, it can inspire them and motivate them to continue on, to keep pushing on, and to continue to develop and, of course, to grow. But one of the things I got a comment, and it was talking about it's great to see someone that is of your physical similarity, me being black or African American, brother, whatever you want to call me. You know what I'm saying? I know who I am. Um, in this country, great United States of America, we relate to everything based on color. And so it's rare that you meet someone. I want to say this now. In life, you don't decide who your first cousin, your second cousin, your brother, your sister going to be. You come into life, and you come into life with principles, and you come into life with connections that will be lifetime that you don't get to decide. No different between the color of your skin, no different between whether you want to call it race, creed, or your gender, or what have you. But what you do come in contact with is making a decision, making a calculated decision about what you want to do based on your circumstances around you. From a young child, I always loved nature. I got nature books, I got nature animal books, I got plant books. I always liked, and when I was young, when I found out what a zoologist was, I always said I wanted to be a zoologist till I learned what actually happened in zoos. And I lost my interest as I started to study a little bit more. Then I just always connected to nature. I wasn't that kid who sat at the game console. I probably couldn't turn on too many. I had a few that I played when I didn't have any choice, like in the wintertime or when I couldn't go outside for various reasons. I would pick up a game or two, but not really. That really wasn't my thing. I was always an outdoors person. I always loved being outdoors. My mom used to put me on punishment. The way she put me on punishment, she made me go in the house, and I would have a fit. And then it used to pain me just to sit in my room full of toys with every kind of toy you can think of, and I was mad because I couldn't go outside. So long before me in my season age right now, I've always been connected to the outdoors, always loved outdoors, even my jobs and working. I always loved the jobs where I was mobile, not just sedentary, but I was right in the mix of moving and being physical. So I've always been attracted to those things. And growing, since at a young age, I always liked growing. And I'm saying all of this because it's apparently to some people, because this is not the first time, but I've got multiple emails over the years about it's great finding someone that has a likeness as them. And they always make that connection about being rare, being different. So I want to kind of make this connection about something that I learned over the years about being rare. Some people call them introverts. Some people say introverts is quite different. I agree, introverts are quite different. About yourself, those self-development and all that kind of stuff over the years through my professional career and my personal. I've taken it on the personal side. I've taken it on the professional. And I always seem to hit that fine line, except for sometimes when I'm trying to get a job. When I'm trying to get a job, I'm very probably extrovert, I would say. And it goes all the way throughout, right? but I lean towards more of an introvert if we're going to put it in classes, because here in this great world we put people in classes and groups, and people have to find some way to connect, which I get that because we are social beings, right? So with that said, I'm more of an introvert, but I want to talk about what I've learned in studies. There have been what they have deemed as extinct species of animals and plants, and then one day they miraculously find them, and they find maybe one or two of them, or they discover them, which they thought that they no longer existed, but now they find out that they do exist. They call them rare species, right? Or endangered sometimes. They call them endangered. Sometimes there was a lot of them, and then now when they finally found a bunch of them, they move them to the endangered species. But let's talk about the commonality between an introvert and endangered species, and then let's talk about also civil unrest. As you all know, y'all been watching me, y'all know I love my great, beautiful state of Florida. I live in North Florida, and I live in the South. I lived my whole life in the South, except for when I was a brat, military brat when I was younger. Don't really remember a lot of it. Traveled a lot. But as my adult life, I would just speak on that. My adult life has been in the South. It's been in South Florida and Georgia. That's pretty much where I've lived at my life. And over the years, there's a lot of other comments that I get rid of. I take it out because I try to be not so leaning towards what's going to be political or what's going to be this or what's going to be that. But I keep getting these. I just got a shower, so I got this water all up in my beard. And but I get these comments and I get these things where people just want me to just crack this code and want me to just unveil and unlayer the onions of myself. And I don't get that because I don't know what their intentions are, because you can't try to have an intimate relationship or intimate conversation with a comment. But I will say this. This is what I will say. Growing up, in my experience, and these are all my experiences, let me say that too for all the other comments that are going to come through saying I'm wrong about this, I'm wrong about this. This is my views, this is my viewpoint, and I know what I think and I know what I feel, and I stand strong in that. And this is what I feel. I really don't, frankly, care what's in the White House or who's in the White House. What I do care is about my community, my environment, what's around me. Similar to a rare species. Species of animals. Some of them, they only specialize in certain things, like a panda only eats bamboo, and it can be compromised if it no longer has bamboo. I don't get caught up into all of this, this going to happen, that's going to happen. People talk about civil unrest. People talk about the country's going down the tube, talking about the dollar. They talk about it. If for some reason, over the years, I've learned that people love to be in a panic mode situation. They're attracted to negativity. And when I say people, I'm saying as a whole. My observation, people love controversy. People love this thing where it seems like something fixing to boil or something fixing to pop off. You know what I'm saying? It reminded me of when I was in school, when I was in high school, there used to be fights in high school before people just shot each other. As I got older in school, then we got into the late 90s. That's when we got into all the shootings. But before then, used to be fights. And every time, either before school or after school, you can just hear it. You could be on the campus of the school and you can just hear it and know there's a distinct sound when a fight about to break out. You'll hear a bunch of ooh, and you'll hear some feet thumping and rattling, and you know they crowds are moving towards that fight. And for some reason, it was always just amazing to go see people fight, see people bash their heads in, people stab and different stuff like that. And then the crowds are right there in the midst of it. And then sometimes they get involved in it. One thing I definitely learned, don't fight around no crowd. I learned that the hard way. But what I'm saying is a lot of times in our culture, in our society, we are attracted to a lot of noise, a lot of unsettlement, unrest, and even the majority of my videos are not where views are not from tranquil places, not from relaxation, not from enjoying nature. It's from something that may be either bubbling up or is something educational. It's one of those two. Those are the things where I get the most views. But with that said, a rare animal in the midst of civil unrest adapts to their environment. If you have a species that can live on this earth with all these humans all over the place, and it can be not detected for hundreds of years, that species have a skill set that most people may not possess. And my thing is, if you're an introvert and people talk about civil unrest, people talk about all of this, and your environment becomes unstable, your environment becomes uncomfortable, you might be in a compromised position. But what I'm trying to say is, don't feel like that's a bad thing. Don't feel like it's one of those things where it's doomsday for you, because there's other introverts out there, and there's other people that feel like you. And when people send me that comment and say, I can relate, I feel how you feel, or it's good to see someone doing something, or maybe living a life like I'm living, and that I can relate to for us culturally. And I think a lot of times we get caught up in the color and stuff, and we don't think about, there's species, there's race, right? And you don't get to decide that, but there's certain things that some brothers and sisters can do, and some other ethnic groups may not even get it or see it. But I get it and I understand it, and no one said a word. No different between that and other cultures and other places. So there is a connectivity there. I'm not denying that. But what I'm saying is, what you're going to have to do to survive is learn from nature. Nature teaches us how to survive. You don't want to be all in the rah, rah, rah. You don't want to be all up in the mix. Or maybe you do. Sometimes the rarest animals, the rarest species, the rarest groups are in far, far away places, not around a lot of people, not around a lot of activities. If it is, it's all blended in with nature. And then some animals may be right there intertwined with a whole group of people and a whole group of activity. I still say, no matter where you are, no matter what species of animals you are, in that environment, there's a lot going on. And a lot of times you're being overlooked. And that can be a good thing, because you can be studying, researching, learning skill sets, learning how to not only harvest nature plants, medicinal plants. You can be that rare resource, that rare tool, with all the knowledge you gain, because you're not all doing this social activities. You're not distracted by a lot of social activities and social ongoings. It'll give you enough time to build a skill set where you become valuable. You become valuable to mankind. You become valuable to life sustainability, not only for yourself, but for a whole wide variety of others. And then, yes, just like a rare species that's been discovered, you might be found. But if you found, and if you add value and you have good sustainability for its value, you will be kept and you will be protected. So being unique, being a little bit different, being a little bit rare, your lifestyle may be different from a lot of different people. But use your time wisely to add value to your skill set and who you are. And you typically will have more me time, more self time, because you're not just trying to place yourself in the mix of everything. And with that me time, that self time, don't use that time to make you feel downward or alone, feel lonely, or any of that kind of stuff. Use that time to gain your skill set. Use that time to develop a, a mindset, a self sustainability type survival mindset. Be a resource. People gonna need help if there is civil unrest. People gonna need aid. People gonna need to know where to get food. People gonna need to know what food is around them, because sometimes when the the situations get awry, stuff starts shutting down, stuff start closing up, weeds start to grow, and nature starts to revert back into itself. When nature reverts back into itself, guess what happens? The Creator gives us everything we need. Everything we need is right here on this earth. And the thing is, man is supposed to be managing it. It's supposed to be the steward of it. But what's going to happen? Nature going to come back and take over, just like it's already. Nature could take over at any time. You know what I'm saying? But what happens is, as you get so many different types of species that get overpopulated, eventually their species will take their own self out. Bottom line. And all of this crazy stuff about what can happen, when it can happen, how it's going to happen, I don't get caught up into that, because the bottom line is I pay attention to my community. Now, are there changes? Are there emotional changes? Yeah, there are emotional changes. It's just like the last time, being as an African American or black, whatever you want to put in categories, whatever. You know, I'm a human first, and I'm a protector of my family, and I'm a lover of the Creator, and I'm an individual, right? And the beautiful thing about this is, the first time that this particular president that everybody says we need to reelect, right? We need to bring everything back, reset everything. Um, Me being in the South, from the South, I remember those days where it took me back to when I was younger, and when it was more aggression, and it was more, how do I say, more tension, far as not a smooth transaction, especially as a business person. There were people that no longer wanted to do business with me, and there was establishments that no longer wanted to hide the fact that I don't want you here. And yes, in the South, you run into that. There were more logos, emblems presented. I saw more of that. But all of that is to an introvert is information. All that is to an introvert is data. All that is to an introvert is understanding. And then it also teaches you how to interact. It also teaches you what to expect. It also helps you with survival. And don't get caught up in the rhetoric. People get emotional. Let people get emotional. Most people lose fights that get emotional in a fight. If your person or adversary can get in your head, then most of the time you're gonna lose the fight. Learn your skill set, practice your skill set. Make sure that you keep repeating it time and time and time and time again, to where it becomes instinct. It becomes ingrained into who you are. Now, with that said, will things change based on who is going where or what's, yeah, things will change. But that's why I keep telling people, get your behind out of these big cities, right? I much rather deal with some country, good old boys, from down in the South. I'd rather deal with an arsenal of them than deal with unprepared, um, unlearned, unskilled, but have access to everything, people. And having a bunch of them around you, and then throw emotional on top of that, and throw the part of unlearning what scared me more than anything. If you dealing with people who've been focused on everything except for how to eat, how to stock your food up, how to live without electricity, where to get water, where to get food, if the grocery stores and all that stuff shut down, and then you deal with fear and not knowing what to do, it gets very, very dangerous. You know what I'm saying? Um, Not to say that old country boys don't get dangerous. Country boys do get dangerous. Yeah, we get that. But one thing about country boys, they know how to survive. And the panic button, in my experience, the panic button is not as readily pressed as it is in city. Because I watched during hurricanes and everything else where people becomes animals. And what I mean by animals, they become uncivilized, as we would say. And I watched the panic button goes on real quick when when it's hurricane season in Florida. And you get the ones that have a lot, they buy up everything, they bring their trailers, they do all that stuff, they get all the water, they get everything you need. And then the ones who don't have nothing and really barely getting by, they find things too. And I mean find things. They find things and then they end up going and doing things that may not be civilized, right? But it all boils down to survival. Then I've been out in the country during the time of hurricanes and unrest, and it's, man, in the country, people so much cooler and calmer when things are going awry. I mean, they got their water, they done got their cattle, they got their garden. They don't move the same way, you know what I'm saying? Um, they just don't move the side. That tension is still not there. You know what I'm saying? It's tension. Don't get it twisted now. Don't get it twisted. It's tension because you got them last minuters. You got those people that wait till last minute. Then they trying to do something. They trying to scurry. They do this and do that. But it's nowhere near the height as it is in a metropolitan area. And access points, getting in, getting out, being undetectable is very difficult, you know, when you got people everywhere and people all around you. And being an introvert, being a rare species, sometimes that can be difficult. That's all I'm saying. But when you got some room around you, you got some space around you, you know, if you need to, you can move out, let them have whatever they need to have, or you protect it if you want to. You know what I'm saying? That's your choice. You know what I'm saying? However you want to do it. But you typically going to have a little bit more time. Now, understand them country boys very skilled, but them city boys very skilled. You know what I'm saying? Some of them do it more than the country boys, you know. Some of them activate their rights more than country people. But country people are very skilled, very knowledgeable. But at the same time, I'm telling you, I'd much rather be out in the country than in the city of unrest, being a rare species. Now, understand when you're a rare species, you got a bounty on your head because somebody want to be known and want to be acclaimed for finding you, for discovering you. So you got that to deal with. But in most cases, if you're used to moving by yourself, in your own area, in your own space, in most cases, you can navigate even in the midst of uncertainty, even in the midst where everybody else is attention somewhere else. And I just want to encourage all the people who feel like they can connect with me, just like me. They feel like we rare, feel like we different. You're not alone. We're here to support each other, to motivate each other. You keep pressing on, build your value system up, continue to build your skill set up, and be of value not to just you, not to just your family, but to mankind. And be able to communicate that in a way where you can show them. But it got to be something that's skill set from up here in that brain and that mind, not just physical skill set. Because people that are well educated, knowledgeable about survival, they understand that a mental skill set, a knowledge skill set, right? You don't want to take out the source. You want to be able to retain from the source. And hopefully you have enough time to communicate that and to show that. That can be one of your survival tactics for your civil unrest, right? Because I just don't know what to say, because it's a shame we have to talk about this right now, but it's a hunger. And I watch so many people have so many conversations, because right now I'm spending a lot of time around outdoor type lifestyle, outdoor type living. And I'm watching a lot of people doing a lot of stuff, looking, I say preparing, but I say some of them are looking forward to a civil unrest. And if there is a civil unrest, understand this. If you're an introvert, you feel you like you're a rare species. Keep obtaining your knowledge, your skill set, add value to mankind, and then also just continue to be confident with who you are and embrace who you are. And then slowly, if you can, find some other individuals who are very much like you, connect with them, and hopefully it'll work. And then hopefully you can build a good networking team. That's all I got for right now. Until the next time, y'all be blessed and be well. Don't forget to keep on growing. Grow.